guys, it's Flippin Hippo. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel at Flippin Hippos. Today, I'm just going to really quickly talk with you guys about your sell-through rate. You know that I consistently refer to our sell-through rate as 0.5%, and I say that historically that is a good average that has held up for Keith and I's sell-through rate on our eBay store. And every day I get questions from people asking me if that's our daily sell-through rate, our weekly, our monthly, and I also get questions on how we figure out our sell-through rate. So I figured I'd just do a real quick video with you guys, show you some math equations and try to break it down for you so that it's easy enough for you to understand and you guys can figure it out on your own. Basically, your sell-through rate is based on how many items you sell and how many items you currently have listed in your store. Now, before I show you any of the math equations that I have set up to show you, I'm going to give you the easiest example. Say you had 2,000 listings in your store, and you typically sell 10 items a day. That is a 0.5% sell-through rate. 1% sell-through rate of 2,000 would be if you sold 20 items a day. Your sell-through rate is going to be higher if you sell things like electronics or any other item that is typically known to flip fast. If you sell a lot of used clothing or plush or vintage items, you're looking at more long tail items, so your sell-through rate is going to be lower. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have a lower sell-through rate. It just means you need to list more items if you want to sell more. But it's not a bad thing. It really comes down to what you're selling. If you've got a store full of electronics and they're selling left and right, you're probably looking at a 1% sell-through rate. If you have mostly used clothing and stuffed animals and ties, other things that are really, really long tail, you're looking at a lower sell-through rate. So if you wanted to sell 20 items a day, you would have to have 4,000 items listed. But that's why it's good to have a good mix in your store. I would suggest trying to get a little bit of everything in there. That's what we do. Get some fast flips, get some electronics, get some things that go really quick, and then bread and butter items mixed in long tail. And once you get a really good mix in your store of all the items, you're going to see a more consistent sell-through rate and be selling every day. So, like I said, the 1% sell-through rate is definitely for people who sell items that flip a little bit faster. You're really not going to see that with used clothing. We're happy with 0.5%. We fluctuate between 1,800 and 2,000 active listings at any time, depending on how devoted we're being to listing on eBay, to be honest. And we sell between 8 and 10 items a day when things are good. When things are slow, we don't sell that much, but typically we sell 8 to 10. We usually see more like 12 a day when things are really good. So we get above the 0.5% at certain times of the year. And so we base our success on that. When we come in below 0.5%, we know it was a slow day. When we come in right at 0.5%, we're right where we should be. And when we sell more than that, it's a really good day. So you need to, for yourself, figure out what your sell-through rate is, what it should be, what it has been averaging to be historically, and then you can kind of get a bigger grasp on where you are and if you should list more and maybe you should get a better mix of stuff in your store. So I'm going to show you the math equation. Everyone knows how to get 1%. 1% of 2,000 is 20. 1% of 2,500 is 25. But not everyone is going to have nice round numbers of items listed in their store, and not everyone's going to have a nice round sell-through rate of 1%. So you're looking at the equation now on the screen. If you want to figure out your daily sell-through rate, you can figure this out every single day at the end of the day when you tally how many sales you made that day. So you take the number of items sold plus the number of items listed to get the actual amount of items that were listed before you sold anything, and you divide that into the number of items that you sold, and you times that by 100, and that's your daily sell-through rate. I know it sounds a little convoluted, but we're going to show you with my calculator here real quick. I'm going to pick really crazy numbers just so you guys see that it works no matter what. So let's say it's a Monday and you want to figure out your daily sell-through rate for that Monday. Monday morning, you had 1,884 active listings on eBay. And you sold 10 items. It was a good day. So you sold 10 items. At the end of the day, you're going to have 1874 listings, but you've got to add that 10 back in, because to get the true sell-through rate of how many items of the 1884 you sold, you need to have the 1884 number. So you would take 10 items sold, you have 1874 left, but you add the 10 in, so you divide that by 1884, and then you're going to times that by 100. You had a 0.53 sell-through rate, so just a little bit over 0.5% that day. That's a pretty good number if you have long tail items and clothing, but you would know that that's kind of a low number if you have a lot of electronics and things that move fast. Let's do it one more time, and let's pick really wonky numbers. So it's a Friday, and Friday morning you wake up and you have 1,742 active listings, and you sell 6 items that day. So at the end of the day, you're going to have 1,736 items left in your store, but you've got to add that 6 back in to get the true sell-through rate. So you would divide 6 by 1,742, times it by 100, and you only had a 0.34, or 0.3%. That would be a bad day for most anybody. And you can kind of keep track of this every day and see what you're doing every day and get an idea of where you are at versus where you should be. If you're coming in consistently at 1% and higher with fast flips electronics, you're A-okay. If you're coming in consistently at 0.5% and higher with clothing, ties, plush, anything that's really, really long tail, you're doing A-okay. If you're consistently coming in lower, you need to figure out what's wrong. Why aren't you selling more? Do you need to go through your listings and fix your keywords and your titles? Do you maybe need to try free returns or free shipping? Maybe you need to run a sale. There's a lot of things that you can do to increase your sales that you can do on the back end. And if you're consistently having a low sell-through rate, that's when you know I've got to do something. I need to go through my store and fix something. Something needs to happen that I'm going to sell more. And if you go through everything and everything looks okay to you and you start running sales and you're still not coming up to where you need to be, that's when you know you need to list more. Because the more you have listed, the more you're going to sell. That just makes sense. I know that there's some people that disagree with that thought process, but I don't see how it couldn't make sense. If you have more items listed, you're going to sell more items. You have a bigger net, you're going to catch more fish. And of course, when you have more items listed, you're being more active. So you are giving Cassini that activity that she loves to see. And the more active your store is, the more you're going to sell, because Cassini loves an active store. You guys have always heard me say, active store is a happy store. So, listing more, you're going to sell more, period. You're more active and you have more items out there. So this is just a way to kind of look at yourself and see where you're at. You can decide that you're doing great or you're doing bad, really based on these numbers, and kind of decide, do I need to go back through my listings and fix stuff, or do I need to list more? Now you can do this every day. The math equation also works for a weekly sell-through rate. It's the same equation, just a lot bigger of numbers. So you would keep track of how many items you sold from Monday through Sunday night, just to keep things simple. That's 7 days. Monday morning, you need to figure out how many items you had listed. Now, this one isn't as accurate because Tuesday through Sunday, you might be listing more items. So that number of total listed can go up and down as you sell stuff all week. But you want to take your beginning number from Monday, and on Sunday night, the total number of items you sold for the whole week, add that back into Monday's number of the listings you started with, and the math equation works the same. So let's say you started Monday morning with, let's pick a really wonky number, 358 listings on Monday morning. And by Sunday night, you've sold 75 items. So you still need to you need to use that number from Monday morning. So even if you've been listing all week and now you have 402 items listed, even though you sold 75, go with Monday's number. So 75 divided by 358 times 100. So your sell-through rate for that week, the whole week, was 20%, and that's pretty darn good. Let's see. If you want to do it monthly, you can. It's the same math equation. It's just a little bit more difficult. You've got to pick a day and keep track of the amount of listings that you started with that day, and 30 days later, how many you sold. Add that back into the starting number, divide it into the amount sold, and times it by 100. The math equation is the same no matter which way you cut it. It gets a little more convoluted and complicated when you do it monthly or weekly. I feel like doing it daily is the easiest way to do it, just for simplicity's sake and to keep my own sanity. I just try to do it every day. I don't want to be keeping track of all of these numbers. And as you saw, your weekly sell-through rate is going to be a little different. It's going to be 20% for the week. So then you've got to divide that by 7 to figure out your daily, which was, if you round that up, you had a 3% daily sell-through rate. And you want that daily sell-through rate ideally to know how you're doing overall. How many items you're selling every day based on what you have listed. So you can absolutely keep track of this for a whole week or a whole month. Then if you want your daily one off of that, like you just saw me do, you would divide your weekly sell-through rate by 7 or your monthly sell-through rate by 30 to get your daily sell-through rate. We, like I said, for simplicity's sake, we just keep track of it every day. We did that for a really long time, and almost for a year, and pretty much felt that our average sell-through rate is consistently 0.5. It's under that when sales are slow. It's over that when sales are really good. But overall, averaged out, we generally do 0.5% sell-through rate. Now that will fluctuate when we have more phones in the store or more electronics in the store. It goes up. During the summertime slowdown for used clothing resellers, if we don't have a lot of those electronics and hard goods in our store, it'll go down a little. But that is how we do it. We just look at every single day, and you eventually kind of get a hang of it. Well, this is what I do every day. Again, I would say that 1% and higher is really good for fast flips, and anybody that has electronics, shoes even, items that flip really, really fast in their stores. And then if you have the long tail items, you want to aim for at least 0.5%. If you're doing more than that, kudos to you, you're doing fantastic. But if you're falling below 0.5% for your daily sell-through rate, even on long tail items, I would say that's when you need to take a look at your store and maybe change something you're doing. You may need to change keywords in your titles. You may need better photos. Maybe you need to run a sale. Try free shipping. Try charging shipping if you've been running free shipping. Something needs to change. And then always you can list more. If you guys have any more questions or you need anything else explained, just let me know down in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. I will be putting this document in our Facebook group at some point this week. If you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, the link is down below in the description box. Go ahead and click on that. You got to answer 3 questions. They're easy questions to answer, so just go ahead and answer them, and then we'll get you approved and get you in the group. You guys, we have a really good time in there. We have daily posts that people participate in, like bolos and Instagram following and sharing. We do all kinds of stuff in there. And then again, this document and the document with the reseller glossary terms from last week's Back to Basics video is in the group as well. Everyone is welcome to join. Link is down below. Let me know if you need anything in the comments, guys. And before you leave, if you would, smash that like button. If you haven't already and you'd like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're at Flippin' Hippos. Until next time, you guys have a good night.